Hey guys, techmadeezy, and thank you for clicking on our video today. Guys, this is the beast. The brand new EcoFlow Delta Pro Ultra. Guys, this is one of the most powerful and most expandable power stations on the market today. This thing can handle 7,200 watts, which surges up to 10,000 watts. This thing is expandable to 90 kilowatts, and that is insane in itself. It can be charged not only by solar or AC or even a generator, but you can actually charge this with an EV charger as well. It can handle a ton of solar, which is a nice improvement. And this thing is 240 volt out of the box. And the other thing, you can put this in your newborn's bedroom. It is so quiet that it won't wake them up. Guys, let's go ahead and check this out. Let's get this party started. Hi, this is Al from techmadeezy with a really quick message. The video you're about to watch is sponsored. We received this product from the vendor. But keep in mind, we will be very honest with you as we review the product. That is very important to us. If you like our video, I sure hope you give us a thumbs up. I hope you share our video. And last, I really hope you subscribe and become a part of the family. Thank you. All right, here's what we're covering in this video. Now, we're going to start off showing you how this thing arrives shipped to your home. So see that in the beginning of the video. We're going to do a super quick unboxing, a close look with detailed specs. We're going to go over connectivity options. We're going to talk about expansion. We're going to go over ways to charge the Delta Pro Ultra. We're going to do a noise test, UPS test, pass-through charging test, pure sine wave test, and a 240 volt test. We're also going to show you how noisy the Delta Pro is in comparison to the Delta Pro Ultra. All right, see that on the bottom right of the screen right there. And then we're going to share our first impression with you. All right, well, if you want to save $1,000, let me say that again. If you want to save $1,000, well, make sure you check out our video description. This is going to be valid until February 9th, 2023. All you got to do is click our special link and use my code, and you'll be able to save $1,000 on Delta Pro Ultra and related bundles. Now, here's another one. If you're going to buy the smart home panel and the Delta Pro Ultra, you can get a free upgraded trolley cart. Now, that is limited to the first 300 orders. All right, guys? But if you order something, let me know in the comments. You know, let's celebrate together. I'd really like to do that. That's what 290 pounds looks like. And this is delivery day. And there it is. Wow, I'll tell you. And you saw how big that freight was outside. Well, why don't we go ahead and get this unboxed? I promise you, this is heavy. Oh dear. If you thought the inverter was heavy, the battery is heavier. And there you go. So as you can see, you get this trolley here, and it's got all the wheels and everything that you need. You get your Delta Pro Ultra. You get a quick start guide. You get solar cables, AC cord, and of course the battery, right? This thing is heavy. And you get obviously the battery cable that'll connect to the Delta Pro Ultra. And that's everything that you get. After you put the wheels on the bottom of the trolley, you'll say, oh, what's that? Well, you get a MC4 disconnector tool. So it's just sitting right here on the bottom of the unit, just so you know. Let's say you don't want to deal with wheels and you want to keep the Delta Pro Ultra in place. Well, they give you these rubber pegs that you can put on each corner, as you can see. You screw them in. They come with 4 screws. Turn this upside down, put the battery and the inverter on top, and the unit will stay in place if you want to do that. All right, so I put the battery on the trolley and I put the inverter on top of the battery. Now, if you're going to buy multiple batteries, you're going to want your batteries down here. And this is the battery cable. All right, so taking a close look at the battery cable, you'll notice that there is a locking screw right there on the battery cable. So you can lock these in place. It's on the top and on the bottom. And again, this is a proprietary connection for Delta Pro Ultra. I don't know that it is similar to anything else. I don't even know that it's similar to the Powerwall. I could be wrong about that. I've not gotten the Powerwall. But let's take this Delta Pro unit. All right, I'm going to move this here for a moment. Now, these come closed. All right, this is where you're going to put the first battery cable. All right, so you can see here, battery port, battery port. So again, take this, slides right in, which is nice. Take that, slides right in. By the way, the serial numbers are also on those plates, which is very helpful. As you can see here, here's the cable, right? Now, if you're connecting a second battery, let's say this is the first battery. I'm going to show you how it gets connected. But if you're connecting a second battery, you're going to get a battery and a cable. And then it's going to connect down here, right? So it'll connect to a second battery and it'll connect to this battery. So it's a really nice system. It's out of the way. It's not like the Delta Pro. But let me see if I can get this in here. Good. All right. So I'm not pushing that in all the way. And I'm just taking that so I can get them both in. And then you push it in. You hear that click, right? All right. So it clicks. And then you've got, again, if you want to release it, all you do is push this button in. Or if you want to lock it, you can turn that and lock it so no one removes the cables. You know, you don't want to mess around with power. But really nice system. We launched 2 videos already, by the way, that could probably be helpful. We'll put links in the description. This first one is Delta Pro Accessories. So we talked a little bit about them in this video, but we did some hands-on with some of them, like we did an EV charging demo. We showed you the difference between the trolley that comes with the Delta Pro Ultra and the upgraded trolley, which is much stronger, allowing you to move, maybe an inverter and a battery around, but that's about it. 50 amp hub is in there and the generator adapter. Again, we'll put links in the description. And the next video we did was the Pro versus the Pro Ultra. Just again, good information. Showing you both products, looking at the ports, talking about wattage. Again, we'll put the links in the description for both of these videos if you want to check them out. All right, I'm going to go over some detailed specs real quick. Right after that, we're going to jump in and we're going to take a close look at every inch of the Delta Pro Ultra. Let's start off with power. So this is a 7,200 watt power station that can surge to 10,800 watts for 10 seconds. All right. And this is not only 120 volt, this is also 240 volt. I'll show you that when I cover the specs in a moment, okay? It is pure sine wave. It does have pass-through charging. And we're going to do some testing, so keep that in mind. This thing not only has UPS, but it has 0 millisecond UPS as well. So this thing's got 2 inverters in it. Believe that. I know you see one inverter on the top and you go, wait a minute, that's one inverter. In here, there are actually 2 inverters. And that's how they get a 0 millisecond UPS. And then they have another that is 20 milliseconds or faster. Now, there are specific outlets that I'm going to cover in a little while to tell you more about that, but that is insanity. All right? Let's talk about the battery now. So keep in mind the inverter does not have any battery. The Delta Pro obviously had a battery and an inverter all in one. The Delta Pro Ultra does not. So when you buy a Delta Pro Ultra, you also buy a battery, and you can get a few of them. Now this battery is 6,000 watt hours, and it's heavy. But the Delta Pro Ultra supports 5 batteries under every inverter. Think about that. That's 30,000 watt hours, or 30 kilowatt hours. Now, if you want to go even further than that, you can get a Smart Home Panel 2, all right, the second version, and that supports 3 Delta Pro Ultras. And if all 3 of them have 5 batteries, you're now talking about 90,000 watt hours, or 90 kilowatt hours. I'm going to go ahead and pull up a video real quick. All right. I mean, pretty darn cool if you ask me. Now, getting on to the battery, a little bit more information. So, this is a lithium iron phosphate battery. That is the chemistry. The cycles, you've got 3,500 cycles, and then it goes to 80% plus. So, if you maintain these batteries, you're talking 10, 15 years. I mean, maybe even longer. It depends on your use. Think about that. 3,500 cycles, and you still have 80% of the battery capacity left. It's pretty amazing. Now, going over outlets and ports, and then again, I'm going to show you everything close up. So for AC outlets, you've got 420 volt, 20 amp outlets. You then have a NEMA TT30, 120 volt, 30 amp. You've got one NEMA L14, which is 120 volt or 240 volt. There you go, 30 amp. So that's where you get that 240 volt out of the box, which is really nice. As far as DC outlets, you get 2 USB-A 12 watt, 2 USB-C 100 watt. You also get an Anderson port. A lot of people like having that, especially for RVers and stuff. Now, the Anderson port is 12.6 volts, 30 amp, a maximum of 378 watts. As far as input, let's talk about charging now. So AC charging, the 120 volt, 15 amp is going to max out at 1,800 watts. 3,000 watts max, 240 volt, 12.5 amps. So for your AC input. Now, solar. You've got 2 ways to do solar on this machine. You've got what they call low PV, and you got high PV. Now, low PV, you'll have a different connector. I'll show you that in a moment. Is 1,600 watts, 30 to 150 volt, 15 amp. Now, if you're going to do like rooftop solar, that's where the high PV comes into play. All right, that's 4,000 watts max, 80 to 450 volt. Think about that, 15 amp. Again, 80 to 450 volt, 15 amp, 4,000 watts. Pretty nice. Let's go over ways to charge the Delta Pro Ultra. As you can see here, you can charge using AC. You can also charge using an EV charger. We're going to demonstrate that. If you look at the bottom right-hand corner, there's an image. We're going to put a link in the description for that video, but you can use the EV Extreme adapter that's going to be available soon. There's also a generator adapter, so you'll be able to charge using a generator. And again, we did a simulation in the accessory video on the bottom right-hand corner. Now you can charge via solar. This thing's got 2 MPPT solar charge controllers. Say that fast 5 times. Now one is a low voltage, about 1600 watts, 30 to 150 volt, 15 amp. And it actually has a special connector called a CP30 on the Delta Pro Ultra. We've showed you that in the beginning of the video. It also has a high voltage option up to 4,000 watts. This thing is 80 volt to 450 volt, 15 amp. Now that's probably more for rooftop solar, but that's up to you. And last but not least, if you connect this to the solar, the Smart Home Panel 2, the new version, you'll be able to do 4,000 watts times 3 inverters for a total of 12,000 watts of solar. Let's talk about connectivity. So this has Bluetooth, it has Wi-Fi, and it has an optional 4G connector. All right, it's a dongle. Again, we're going to walk through this device in a moment. You also have the EcoFlow Smart app, so don't forget about that. That can be really helpful in controlling the unit. It can also be very helpful in updating the unit with firmware updates. Now, let's talk a little bit about weight. So the inverter weighs 70 pounds or 31.7 kilograms. The batteries, these are heavy. Again, but you're talking a lot of capacity. 116.4 pounds or 52.7 kilograms. Now this has an IP rating, both of them, IP54. That's not made to be outside, all right? But it's protected from limited dust, ingress, and water spray from any direction. So, they thought about that. Again, you don't want to have this outside. The unit and the batteries both have a 5-year warranty. Now let's go ahead and take a nice close look at the unit. All right, finally, let's go ahead and take a look at this thing. So we're going to start off with the top for a moment. I'll cover the screen in a moment as well. So you start off here, you've got 2 USB Type-C, and these are 100 watts, all right? So you've got 2 of those there, and this unit is on wheels and it's rolling around, but you've got a nice cover also to keep the dust out. You got 2 USB Type-A. These are 12 watt, all right? So they're not quick charge. They're 12 watt. And again, a nice cover, which is good. I'm going to lock one of the wheels so this thing doesn't move. Okay, we're locked for a minute there. AC buttons right up here for AC power, DC power here. Here's your power button, okay? And let's start off here in this little corner. So here is where the 4G dongle would go. See, there's a USB spot for the 4G dongle. Now I'm going to put the 4G dongle on the screen for a minute so you can see what it looks like. It isn't available yet, but when it is, I will try to put the link in the description. And I'll also mention it on the channel. Make sure your notifications are on. That closes nicely. Now here's where you've got your 4 AC outlets, right? These are 120 volt, 20 amp. But I want to show you something. When you pull these down, you could see here that it actually says 120 volt, 20 amp backup, 120 volt, 20 amp online. Now that is where we talk a little bit about UPS. So on the backup, you're going to get 20 milliseconds or faster on the backup outlets there. But if the unit's on and you're connected to these 2 outlets, you've got 0 millisecond UPS. So pretty darn crazy. Now we're going to go over to the power side here. So this is a NEMA TT30. All right, this guy here, 30 amp, 120 volt. And this is the NEMA L14. Now this is the magic sauce right here because this is 30 amp, but it is 120 volt or 240 volt. That's where you got your 240 volt. Now, if you close this for a minute, you're going to notice that the TT30 is online, and that means you can get 0 millisecond UPS out of this one. Really, really nice. Now that I open the side panel, you're going to see here that you've got an Anderson port, 12.6 volt, 30 amp, all right? And the maximum is 378 watts with that. Now here is this different type of connector for your solar. Now this is the low PV, by the way, we talked about earlier, okay? So you're talking up to 1600 watts of solar. And that is called a CP30 connector. So that's pretty interesting. You've got a grounding screw here, and then you've got what they call the AC charge speed button here, all right? All right, one of them will make it slow. The other one will allow you to adjust the speed. And then here's where you plug in that AC cord. All right, covered really nice. Let's look at the right side of this unit now. All right, so if you remember, we already covered how the battery cables connect, right? So the inverter to the battery, and then if you add more batteries, right, you're going to put the batteries underneath, and you're going to simply use the battery ports to, connect another battery, up to 5 batteries. This is the power button for the battery, but you don't need to press this. I mean, if you turn the Delta Pro Ultra on, it'll turn the battery on as long as it's connected. But you could see here we've got 3 bars, but you could see the percentage on the Delta Pro Ultra. High PV port. Now this is where you would connect and get up to 4,000 watts of solar input. You've got an on and off switch here, and you're going to want it off initially while you're connecting your cables. And don't forget, you're talking 80 to 450 volt, 15 amp. So it's pretty crazy. And again, that slides in, which is nice. Now, power in and out port. This will be used for a few things, but the main thing it'll be used for today is if you're connecting this to a smart home panel 2, the new version, then that will connect directly to it. All right, and that's a good look at the side. Now, the one thing you're going to notice, especially if you've used a Delta Pro, this thing is super quiet. It is amazing, but it's also very cooled down. They're using a system called an anti-gravity cooling system. This thing has 6 dedicated fans, all right? And I'm going to bring up an image so you can take a look at it for a minute, and it's actually going to show you all the complexities of how they keep this unit cool, and it isn't just 6 fans, I promise. So take a look at that. I mean, that's pretty amazing. Now I'm going to cover the screen for a minute, okay? So this screen can be very informative. You can see here your input wattage is here, your output wattage is there, your battery percentage is here. It even tells you how many batteries are connected on top. This is your charge and your discharge time down at the bottom. But this will show you a lot of information. So in the upper left-hand corner, you'll actually see your connections here. So Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and your cellular connection. All right. As you get here in the middle, you'll actually see if you have any errors. It'll actually show you any overheating or any type of error would be up in the top in the middle. Now on the top right, you'll get battery information. Okay, now I don't know what that flashing is for, but this battery's at 50%. All right, but you'll get battery information. If your fan is running, you'll see that here also. Now the bottom left side, right around here, is where you're going to see the charging input type, whether it be solar, etc., will show up right down here. And the right bottom will show, if you have any USB connections. But nice big display. And you can adjust this. You can say, I want it to stay on forever. I want it to stay on for 30 minutes. I want it to stay on for 1 minute. You'll do all of that through the EcoFlow app. I'll put this up as a reference if you ever need to come back and look at it. It can be very helpful. All of the information on the LCD screen. Now let's take a moment and talk about two adapters that you'll be able to get when this launches. One is a generator adapter, and the other is for an EV charger. Now, you would connect those right here on the power input output. Right, slide that down, and let's look at the generator one for a minute. So this is a L14 adapter, as you could see on one side, right? And the proprietary one on this side. So we take this, connect it, locks in place. We also have that lock we can turn so that this stays in place and doesn't get pulled out. And now you can connect a generator to this thing. You can even buy an extension cable if your generator is maybe in the garage or whatnot. Now we'll put an extension cable in the description if you want to pick one of those up, but this cable won't be available for a little while. But when it is, we'll put a link in the description. Now what about the EV adapter? Again, same situation. All right, let me just unplug this. All right. So again, same proprietary connection, but now you get a J1772. Now this is pretty much a standard, right? Now Tesla's becoming a standard also, but in the meantime, this J1772, if you have an EV charger at home, you'll be able to plug it in and charge the Delta Pro Ultra with your EV charger. Or if you have an RV and you need to charge this, again, you can just pull up and connect this adapter, and now you can actually charge via EV. So we talked a little bit about expansion, but let's go over a few scenarios. So the first one that's in front of you is what you get out of the box, right? You got one battery, you've got one inverter, you've got 6,000 watt hours or 6 kilowatt hours. Now your next scenario is basically stacking up to 5 batteries. So if you do 5 batteries under the inverter, you would have 30,000 watt hours or 30 kilowatt hours. Your next scenario would be maxing this out. You get yourself 3 inverters and a smart home panel, and you can do 5 batteries under each for 15 batteries. That's 90,000 watt hours or 90 kilowatt hours. Now, what are some other scenarios? Let's look at maybe a transfer switch. Let's just say that you've got your Delta Pro Ultra, you've got your battery, maybe you have 2, it's up to you, and you want to get a transfer switch. Well, they make a transfer switch and the appropriate cable. And you're looking at 7,200 watts, right? 120 volt or 240 volt out of the box with 30 amp of service. And you can do it that way. Now, what if you actually need 50 amp service? Well, here is a scenario, right? Now you can connect 2 Delta Pro Ultras, all right? And you can get 50 amp of service. And I will actually go ahead and show you the 50 amp hub so you can see what it looks like. So you want 50 amp service. Well, here is the 50 amp hub. And basically, this cable connects to one Delta Pro Ultra, and it connects to here. And then this cable connects to another Delta Pro Ultra. You need 2 of them. It connects here. And now you've got a 120 volt 240 volt, 50 amp service. Your power button is right there. Is that cool? So here is our estimated runtime information on the Delta Pro Ultra. This is based off that 6,000 watt hour battery, right? Huge. All right, we also try to calculate the AC inverter because it does use power on its own. So just this is assuming you're using the AC outlet. Let's go over some of these. So the first one is a small refrigerator. This is kind of like a college refrigerator. Let's say it uses 75 watts consistently. You would be able to get about 75 hours, which is over 3 days. Now, keep in mind, refrigerators don't use wattage consistently. They actually use wattage where the compressor kicks on, and at that point, it really uses the most wattage to keep the refrigerator cold, and then it goes down, so it isn't consistent. Now, the same for a full-size refrigerator. Again, let's say it's 200 watts. If you have an old refrigerator, believe me, it'll be much more than that. But when a compressor kicks on, it could be 300 watts, it could be 400 watts, and then that stops for a while the refrigerator's cold. But if it used 200 watts consistently, you'd be able to get an estimated 27 hours, which is over a day. And I promise you, with my refrigerator, I would probably get 3 to 4 days because my refrigerator is a newer refrigerator. Now, what about home internet? A router and a modem probably uses about 50 watts. You could get an estimated 110 hours, and that's over 4.5 days. What about a fan? Nice size fan, right? This is your average fan, about 60 watts. You can get 93 hours, which is almost 4 days. What about an LED light? Now, LED lights can use anywhere from 5 watts to 10 watts most of the time. You'd be able to get over 525 hours, which is over 21 days. Now, what about a CPAP? Well, CPAPs, the wattage varies, but let's just say you're using a CPAP that uses about 100 watts. You'd be able to get an estimated 55 hours. That's over 2 days. But if you only use it at night, you should be able to get 6 nights. Your average laptop is about 50 watts. You'll be able to get an estimated 110 hours, which is, again, over 4.5 days. Now, what about charging devices? The iPad 12.9-inch uses, you can probably get about 135 charges. An iPhone 14, you can probably get about 440 charges. And a Samsung S23, you can get about 375 charges. I hope this information is helpful. We're in the kitchen and we're going to do a UPS test. Now, this power station has 2 inverters, so it actually offers a 20 millisecond UPS, and it also offers a 0 millisecond UPS. On this outlet here that we're plugged into right now, this is a backup, so it's a 20 millisecond UPS, this one here. But if you look at this one, well, this is a online UPS. And when this power station is on, this is a 0 millisecond UPS. Now, we're only going to do this with a light, but we're going to start off doing the 20 millisecond UPS. We're going to be using this light down here, by the way, and we're going to be using the surge protector. We're going to be turning off the power and then watching how quick things happen. So let's get ready for the 20 millisecond or faster UPS test. All right, we're currently receiving 1700 watts. We are currently plugged into the AC outlet here. It is on, the light is green, and there is our light. And you'll see that the light is using 49 watts. Now, why is a light using 50 watts? Well, this is an older style bulb, and it's a reminder that you should change your bulbs to LED, which would be about 5 to 10 watts. But what we're going to do now is we're going to simply hit the switch. We're going to watch the screen and we're going to watch the light. Now, this is the only source of light in the room. So we're going to watch the screen to see, how fast it switches over, and you'll be able to watch the light as well. All right, so again, I'm going to be turning this off on the count of 3. I'll go like this. 1, 2, 3. Now you could see it's powering it, and you saw the flicker. And that's your example there. But now let's try the 0-second UPS. We should not get a flicker with this outlet. All right, now we are going to test the online 0-millisecond UPS using this second outlet. We're receiving over 1700 watts via AC, right, from our surge protector. Our surge protector is on, and again, we're powering that light there, and, it's kind of interesting how it's actually, all right, using more wattage. Interesting. All right. So that tells us something about this outlet too. Well, here we go. We're going to go ahead and hit this switch, count to 3, and see what we get. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. Now I hit the switch before I said 3, but I think you heard that. And yet I did see a flicker for a moment. I don't know if you did. I'm going to turn it back on. Okay, and we're going to try this one more time, just so we could see it one more time. All right, we'll wait till we get wattage coming in. And then we will try it one more time. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I still see a flicker on this too. Look, guys, this is not a perfect UPS test, but I would have thought with 0 millisecond that wouldn't flicker. So it's pretty interesting. All right, so that is our test of UPS, testing both the backup and the online outlets. This next test is going to test to see if the Delta Pro Ultra has a pure sine wave inverter. What does that mean? Well, when you plug things into the outlets, right, you want to make sure you're getting the cleanest power. Now, pure sine wave is going to be the closest thing to your home electricity. If you bought a power station and it was, say, a modified sine wave, well, number one, if you plugged a fan in, as an example, you probably would hear a humming noise that you wouldn't hear on a pure sine wave power station. The other thing is, if you plugged in a projector screen or a TV, you might see distortion on the screen. Well, you wouldn't see that with a pure sine wave power station. So let's go ahead and turn on the AC outlet. We want to see what kind of voltage we've got, and then we'll look at the pure sine wave piece. So here we go. So we have 120.6 volts. That's good. That's in range. Let me switch this over now so we can actually see the pure sine wave signal. And as you can see there, this is a really smooth signal, clarifying this is pure sine wave. Now, the other thing we're going to do is we're going to put a load on this thing. We're going to put over 2,000 watts on and see if we're still getting pure sine wave. Give me a second. I have to go and grab this cord down here. We're going to plug this right into the same outlet. We're going to see the load that we're going to get here. 2,100, 2,300, 2,500 watts. Look at that. Now let's take a peek and see if we're seeing any difference. I mean, look at this thing. Super smooth. That is pure sine wave with a load. We're going to do a noise level test now on this thing. I've got the equipment on the other side of the house, and the AC outlet is off. Let's start off by looking at the noise level in the room we're in. Now we're going to go ahead and turn the AC outlet on. We should get about 2,500 watts based off what we have plugged in. We'll take a look at that first. All right, 1,900, 21, 22, 2,300, 2,600. All right, went down, popping back up. All right, got 2,300, almost 2,400 watts there. All right, 2,400 and change. Let's take a look at the noise level. This thing is super, super quiet. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing with the Delta Pro so you can hear the noise level. Let's turn it on. $22, 2,300, 2,400, 2,600, back down and then back up again. And look at the sound difference. Next feature you want to get in your next power station, no matter what you buy, it's called pass-through charging. And what that means is while you're charging the power station, can you use your AC outlets? Can you use your USB outlets, right? And that's pass-through, meaning it actually will charge the unit, and while it's charging the unit, you can use it. There are power stations out there that when you plug them in and you're charging them, like I am here, as you can see, at 1,700 watts, you're not able to use them. You have to wait until you finish charging. This is the Delta Pro Ultra. I'm pretty sure it's got pass-through charging. Let's go ahead and we're going to turn on the AC outlet. So again, 1,750 coming in. We're going to turn on the AC outlet and see if it'll power something. There's going to be the output. All right, so here we go. All right, we've got 100 watts going out, 400, 500 watts going out. So it is being charged right here via the AC cord, of course. And it is outputting 1,300 watts, and that'll keep going up. All right, we've got 1,600 watts going out, and we've got 1,500 watts coming in. And there you go. This thing definitely has pass-through charging. This is a beast. Wow. Well, if this is 240 volts out of the box, let's go ahead and see if it'll run our electric dryer. All right, we ran our long extension, and this is very thick and very expensive cable. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go on the EcoFlow app, and we are going to simply turn on the AC outlet. All right here. All right, the AC outlet is on, so we should be able to power this up. Let's just hit power. We've got power, and what we're going to do when I hit the start button is, let me put this on time dry so it stays on. What we're going to do is we're going to keep an eye on the wattage here on the output. All right, so here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, 500, 2,000 watts, 5,400 watts. So look at that. You see that? 5.3 kilowatts. This thing is running a 240 volt electric dryer. And what we're going to do now is run upstairs and take a look at the unit and look at the screen also. Here we go. 5,150 watts coming out of the 240 volt outlet. I mean, this is really nice. 7,200 watt unit, but 240 volt. Pretty nice. No double voltage hub needed. And that's a success of the 240 volt check that we just did. Don't forget this. Hit pause and review it if you want to save $1,000 before February 9th. Let's take a moment and go over pros and cons. I'm going to start off with cons. There are only 2 of them. One of them is probably a reality. And you know what that is? This thing is heavy, guys. This battery is 116 pounds by itself. So you're looking at about 300 pounds. You're probably going to want to pick up this upgraded trolley. All right, I highly recommend it if you're going to move this around. But the second con is you don't have a car charging option. Now, most people aren't going to need a car charging option. But if you're an RVer, right, if you're a van life, and you live in a van and you want to be able to plug this into a car charger, you won't be able to. But that's it. Let's take a moment and go over pros. All right, our first pro is this thing is powerful. 7,200 watts. Boom! I mean, that is insane. 240 volt out of the box. You don't have to buy anything. This thing has 240 volt outlet. Love it. This has a super fast UPS at 0 milliseconds, which is nice. It is expandable, guys, by the way. So if you buy the unit as is, then add 4 more batteries, you can go to 30 kilowatt hours. All right? But if you really want to go even higher, get yourself a Smart Home Panel 2. That's the second version. And you'll be able to put 15 batteries with 3 inverters into the Smart Home Panel 2 for 90 kilowatt hours. I mean, it is insane. The other pro is you can charge this by EV. You can use your EV charger at home, or while you're out on the road, you can plug this into an EV charger. Now, I also like that they improved the solar. You've got a low voltage option and a high voltage option. And the last pro, I would say, is it does have Anderson ports, and that's helpful as well. All right, guys. Well, that was amazing to review, and I have to tell you, my back, oh well, that's another story in itself. As you review these products and you have to move them around, it's not easy at 300 pounds. Guys, this isn't made to be moved around, to be honest with you. This is made for home power backup, bottom line. That's really what it's made for. Can you move it around? Yeah, but it's not really made to do that. I sure hope you enjoyed our review, by the way. And if you did, take a moment and give us a thumbs up. It really, really helps the channel, and it helps the video, by the way. And if you want to follow us on social media, We'll put our social media right up top up here. You could check out our new Tesla channel when you get a minute. And I'm going to put 2 videos on the right if you actually want to check out the other 2 videos we made. And if you want to actually subscribe to Tech Made Easy, our channel, I will put a round logo right where my finger is. Click on that and you'll be able to subscribe and join the family, guys. Thank you so much. I hope this information was helpful, and have a wonderful day.